just how far has Ping golf technology come over the last 20 years? Hi everyone, my name is James Robinson and welcome back to this YouTube channel. Today I have the Ping G2 fairway wood. Now this thing was well before its time. It's jam-packed full of, it's not really, but it's got some technology in it. And we also have the Ping G430 Max fairway wood. Now this is one of the best forgiving fairway woods of 2024. Today we're going to test them out here on the golf course. We're also going to talk numbers here in the studio to see just what the big differences are between the Ping G430 Max fairway wood and the old school Ping G2. That looks so good, doesn't it? I keep looking at that, it looks amazing. We're going to talk price outside, we're going to talk ball flights outside, but in here we're going to get to the nitty gritty and see exactly what the big difference is for that huge void in price difference. Like this thing would set you back £31.99 and it has a graphite blue shaft in there. This will have been a stock shaft of the time as well because Ping used to put mega upcharge shafts in their clubs. Now, however, this is going to set you back almost £300 and we have a hazardous 6.0 shaft in there. So again, this is a stock shaft and I think it's one of the better shafts Ping do at the moment. We'll kick things off first with the G2 and see just how good this thing could potentially be. So you'll see this is 14 degrees of loft. It doesn't have a movable loft sleeve. It actually has a through-board shaft, which you don't see anymore at all. And you can kind of see how that head, we don't see full faces like that anymore, do we? So I love this little half moon on top. For me, I really wish Ping would bring this back and do away with the turbulators on the driver. We don't have turbulators on the G430 fairway wood though, it's just got a little dot. So we'll go with that, right. Looking down at it straight away, the little half moon is obviously a golf ball and it's designed to be the same shape and size of that golf ball. So for me, I think that looks really good. And again, I just kind of wish they'd bring that back because if they did, I think people would love it. I think nostalgia will go through the roof and sales will probably go through the roof as well. Right, I've done the numbers already and you'll be shocked to see them. But first up, how good is that, by the way? I really think, you know, if marketing wasn't a thing and golf companies just made golf clubs for the sake of making golf clubs and trying to actually improve them, I don't think you'd steer too far away from that. Like, I honestly think that potentially it's almost as good as it gets with the old school Ping writing on the toe there. So let's go G430. So looking down at this one, totally different looks as you can see. This has that kind of carbon effect on top with the little dot for the alignment. That's of course the carbon fly wrap. And I really actually enjoy the text around it here. That for me gives it a little bit more presence and it almost shows you where the head size is. So if we look at these down together, head size wise, it's just a huge difference, isn't it? Like the G430 almost looks like a driver compared to that fairway wood. The face is a little bit deeper on the G2 as well. So like a shallower face there on the G430 Max. Now, you know, if you wanted to buy the G430 LS Tech fairway wood, that was going to cost like £379. It was ridiculously expensive, but this is the standard version. Can we hit a similar shot? Interesting that that's actually gone a little bit to the right. It felt like a similar swing, and honestly, the G2 felt and sounded better there. Like a different world. Did you think it sounded better as well? So I've hit it a little bit toey, but not too bad. Let's go there and see where those have finished. I think we might have a little bit of a shock on our hands. That looks so good, doesn't it? Yeah. It really does. Could have cleaned it, Bobby. Sorry. Do you remember the head cover for the G2? No, I don't have it, but I'll put it on screen now. So the head cover was like a really big, thick sock. Like a really thick one. No, so, and again, probably before the time there, weren't they? Because they all go to boxing glove head covers now instead of having a good sock on. I thought I'd lost it, but I haven't. And you know what, in fairness, I've hit that G430 that bad. I can't believe it's here because the G2's there, probably about 10 yards back in the fairway. And I was quite adamant that I'd lost that, hadn't I? So that's done really well. And literally my mind's just flipped in 5 seconds thinking, this is going to be a really interesting video and the G2 might be way better for 31 quid. Let's carry on. That really did, I think that's kind of put the cat amongst the pigeons in a different sense because, so we'll kind of keep throwing the numbers in throughout this video. I'm going to go G430 first this time down the par 5, see if we can potentially knock one on in two. It's winter, so we're kind of a little bit forward on the tees. Can we get down there far enough to have a 3-wood left in where we can maybe get on the green in two? I do feel like this is more forgiving looking. I think Ping and all the other brands have probably learned the fact that if you do elongate something, you have to make it shallower, so it's got the same CG, but it does make it more forgiving looking. Obviously shoves CG back and makes it more forgiving. Higher MOI, you could say. That's really good. To say I've struck that kind of low off the face, and the tech in there I think's really kept that ball flight down a little bit. It's not spun up like you might anticipate a club to do. If I struck this G2 the same out of there, I think that'd just spin up massively. It probably wouldn't even go 200 yards, whereas that's realistically gone like probably 230, 240, even on a bit of a bad hit. You can see with the G2, we have a bit of a weight in here at the back, so that is designed to push CG back, but obviously it's not going to be as forgiving as maybe the counterpart that we are using. But then, do you always want forgiveness? Could this be now? It's still got the Grafloy Blue shaft, which is an unbelievably good shaft. Could this just be like a bit of a weapon off the tee? Like if you really want to play some nice low penetrating shots. Imagine, oh my God, imagine, sorry, if Ping made a mini drive that looked like this. Can you imagine? The sales would be through the roof. He thinks so as well. Right, they should be the same, Rob, do you think? This is going to be really interesting to see how far those have gone. Let's get down there, see where they are. Let's talk some more numbers for these two pretty stunning golf clubs, to be honest.
One's clean.
One's... How's that?
Still not great.
Okay, guys, like I said, we are going to jump inside. So, as you can see, 14 degrees on the old school Ping G2. So, Bobby, if you can hold me that. The good thing is with the G430, we can actually take it down a little bit. Because I want it to be as fair a test as possible. And I do feel like that 1 degree might just make a bit of a difference for the technology, timing-wise. And the tech is more similar than you would think, actually. Funny with Ping heads, when you try and get them off, you have to just give them a bit of a... There we go. Right, should we go... Is it 14 or 14 and a half, Bobby, that? So we'll go exactly one down, so that plays 14. And if we have a look at the head while I put this down to the loft, and the whole test will have been done at this loft, by the way, guys, because we're doing the numbers first, you can see that central weighting at the back. So that's designed to drag CG towards the back of the head and low. And if Bobby shows you the G2 head, you'll see, oh, what's that at the back of that head, Bobby? A weight. So they're actually more similar than you think. And the G2 head, obviously, is a little bit smaller, with it being the max head there. I thought about going G430 LS Tech, but to be honest, I didn't think there'd be a huge difference. So should we go this first? Yeah, let's go down memory lane first. So this did set us back £31.99. 30 quid for cash, I think you could probably get it for. So anything pitching for me around 230, 240, I'd be really happy with. Obviously, we've got the Grafloy Blue shaft in here, which at the time will have been a little upcharge. That felt so good. Very high spin is what I'll say off the bat there. It's spinning at 4,000. It's pitched 226, releasing up to 240. Probably do need to kind of come to terms with how to actually attack this and hit it. I've hit down it just a little bit there, which is why we've got the high spin rate. But if I can sort that out, the head looks phenomenal. Oh, that's not one, that's left. Left, but it's fast. What's that pitching? 240 up to 260 total. Spin's still around 3,000, and that's where potentially you might look at the new materials in the G430 and say, well, this is what we've seen, but I really like that.
How's the moon
I
on it?
wish, yeah, I wish they'd do away with turbulators and bring turbulators on that. They're not, are they? They're on the driver, and bring it back. I mean, those two shots, dispersion-wise, not really ideal, are they, Bobby? But we're trying our best. 3-wood, 14 degree off the deck. And never the easiest clubs to hit. It does feel a little bit kind of turned in. I'm not totally blaming those shots for that, but very, very consistent. 230 up to 252. And that is a bit of a hook. So let's see if we can square that up and just try. So what I'm struggling with here, apart from everything, is strike location, because the head's that small and to be honest, there's not a lot of room to go at. So consistency, I mean distance-wise consistency, it's not too bad. They're all around 220 to 230, but as you can see, it's pretty much all over the shop. And this was one of the more forgiving clubs at the time, so I do think golfers were just better back then. Right. Grafloy blue. Fairway stiff. So it's the right shaft. I'm not blaming the shaft at all. 240 carry, 255 toe. Just can't square it up. One more. Come on, James. Better. That's probably the best one we're going to hit. Probably a 240, 250 carry, 245. So it's in there. It's just you have to be a very, very good golfer to still get every little ounce out of this. Now, I'm kind of hoping that this is going to go better. So we do have that carbon fly wrap on here. We have that rear weighting as you've seen, and we also have that forged wrap face as well. So let's get you out of the way. What's a good return here, Bobby? Straight away, straighter. Ball speed not quite as high actually. You can see that's pitching at 232, but it's in the grid, and that's one of the key things we'll take from it. It's still spinning fairly high, so that shows that today that is me, that's not necessarily the clubs, but it's up there and it's in play, which is important for this. We've lofted it down, as you know, and that's what I feel like this club's kind of rescuing me a little bit. I don't feel like those swings are overly different to what I was hitting with the G2. We've got one in the middle of the grid, one just to the left of the grid, and it's a fairly high spin. That's why Ping did release the LS Tech version of this club, because, although how expensive was that, do you remember? The LS Tech was like 300 quid, which I think is far too much for fairway wood, but let's get this down a little bit. There we go. There we go. That's what I don't feel like I could do with the G2. 247 carry, it's releasing up to 265. That, I feel like I could try all day with the G2 and not have that result. It's everything that I want from it. It's that little low fade, and I'm starting to feel like I can see where Ping have tried to go technology-wise with these clubs. You can see how you get into a rhythm with this as well, and then it becomes very, very similar. It's all far too often. But guys, for the price, what would you do? Get in the comments below and let us know. I'm going to stay here and just keep peeling these off, because I might have found my new 3-wood. No! The peaked early. Right, two very similar performing shots. The G430 is the slightly longer one, so we'll go from where they are and see if we can get on the green in two. Do you think we can, Bobby? We're 220, 230 out. I will give it a clean because it is incredibly muddy time of year, unfortunately. Soon be in Florida, Bobby, won't we? Oh, yeah. Are you coming? Please, sir. So how good is this off the fairway? That deeper face should help a little bit, potentially, as long as you don't get it toey. See, that's where I've got it a little bit duffy, a bit high in the face, but it could still do quite well for me. I think that is going to be short, but it's bang on line, isn't it? Let's go G430. It's almost gone rusty, that face, isn't it? A little bit pitted. And you can see that these are both run down, you can see with the dew, so can't really say that one's longer than the other off the tee. That is so hot, it's just not come back. Be interesting to see where that's finished, because I feel like I've played for a bit of a cut there and it's just not worked back. Is it potentially too forgiving? Whereas I think the G2 would have maybe come back a little bit because it has more spin axis. Does that make sense? Right, the G430 is there, so it's past flag high, 3-wood, 3-wood, where it landed, so pretty happy with that. If you can get a par 5 in 2 anyway, I think that's really impressive. The G2 is kind of 20, 30 yards short, as you can see it there. Oh yeah. So it's not too bad, But I think it's interesting how I've been a lot more accurate on the course with the G2, but more accurate inside with the G430. So I think it's important that you test these clubs out on the course, also on the simulator, to see which one you'd want. I'd have the G2 in the bag, to be honest, for 31 quid all day long. Guys, if you've enjoyed that, please, if you do, smash that subscribe button. Lots more fun golf videos to come, because we're having fun, Bobby, aren't we? This is fun. We're having fun.